Hello everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to work with modifiers in AutoCAD. For example, if I have two objects and I want to move this small circle at the center or the midpoint of this line. Now in the modify panel from the ribbon, we have the move command. For move, we can also type the shortcut M and press enter. Now you will notice that it is asking us to select object. I can select my circle. Once we have selected our object, we need to press enter to go ahead. Now AutoCAD is asking us move specify base point. Now base point specifies the start point of our move. For example, if I want to pick this circle from the quadrant point, I will click on the quadrant point and place it on the desired location. For example, I want to pick from the center. So I click on the center. So you will notice now my cursor has been placed at the center of this circle. Now in the command line, move specify second point. Now the second point is the point where we want to place our object. For example, I want to place at the midpoint of this line. Now you will notice that I can see the midpoint. Now the midpoint only displays if we have turned on the snap mode or the object snap from the status bar. If I right click and go to the object snap setting, you will notice that I have turned on all the geometrical points available for our drawing. So I click select all and I close this window. Now I can click and place my circle. Now you'll notice that my circle has moved from point A to point B. Now my second modifier, what I'm going to talk about is copy. I click here on the copy command. And for example, I want to copy this circle at this three different location. Now when we take the copy command, AutoCAD is asking us to select object. I can select my object. Once we have select object and we want to go ahead, we can press enter. Now again, specify the base point. So here also the base point is the start point. So I click on the center and specify the second point. The second point is again my midpoint. And I click on the midpoint again. And I place my three circles. Once we have placed this circle, for example, there is a part of this circle which I don't want. For example, I want to cut this center line. To cut any object, we can use the trim command. Now, trim command only works if there is an intersection. For example, if you have a circle here and you wish to create a semicircle or a half circle, it should have an intersection, but right now there is no intersection. So it will delete or it will erase my circle. Now for this case, for example, I don't want the center line here. So I can click on the segment I don't want. Okay. So I can select for all my 4 circles and I have taken out my lines. Now, for example, if I have taken out this line by mistake and I want this line to join back again, inside the trim command, if you press the shift button, it helps me to extend the line back. But always remember that there should be a boundary which it can intersect. If there is no boundary, AutoCAD will not be able to extend your object. So this is how we can extend or trim. Now, for example, I have drawn this object and I want to rotate this. I realized that I actually wanted this to be vertically placed, but I have drawn this horizontally. Now, once we have drawn our object and we want to change the orientation, we can use the command called as rotate. If I click here on the rotate command, it is again asking us to select object. You can also select your object first. For example, if I select my object first, and now I take the rotate command, it will directly ask us to specify the base point. But if we take the command first, then it always asks us to select object. So as a preference, we can use the method we want to use. Now I have selected my object and AutoCAD is asking me again to specify the base point. Now, according to which point I want to rotate or my start point. For example, if I place my base point here, it will rotate along this point, right? Now, for example, I want to rotate this at 45 degrees. So we can actually type the angle here at our command line. If you want it to be placed at 90 degree, then we have to type 90 degree. For example, I am going to type 45 and place this object. Okay. So this is how we can easily use copy, move, rotate, and trim command for our objects. Going ahead, for example, I have this chair. Now this chair, I also want here. For example, if I'm creating a dining for two, I need one more chair to be placed on this side. Now that means I want to flip this chair or I want to create the same chair in the opposite direction. So the command what we can use is mirror. We can also use the shortcut MI and press enter, or we can directly click on the mirror command. Now again, it says specify, it says select object. So I select my objects. Once we have selected the object, we need to press enter. Now AutoCAD is asking us specify first point of mirror line. That means where you want to place your mirror so that you can get the chair exactly opposite at the same location. So for this case, I will pick the center of my table so that I can place the chair exactly at the same distance. So I click here. Now it is asking me specify second point of the mirror line. Now the second point you can specify anywhere in your drawing, but according to this drawing, I need it to be vertically straight. So you can click for the second point anywhere up or down. But we have still not ended the command. If you press escape, your command will be cancelled. So if I see here, it says erase source object. That means AutoCAD is still in the mirror command and it is asking us whether we want to erase this object or not. So for this case, I don't want to erase. So I can press no, or I can type N and click enter. Okay. So this is how we can mirror and create mirror copies for our object. Now the next modifier, what I'm going to show you is stretch. For example, I wish to stretch the back of this chair. So we can take the stretch command. Now, stretch command is very good if we wish to extend or we want to increase the length of multiple objects. For example, when it is asking us to stretch object, we cannot go and fully select our object. No, we have to precisely tell AutoCAD that what line or what object we want to stretch. For example, if I want to increase the backrest of both my chairs, I have to select them partially using the green box selection. So once I click my vertical lines and they are partially highlighted, I click. Now we have selected two objects. So this is something you always have to remember, that the object you want to stretch has to be partially selected. If we select the entire object, it will work as move. So for stretch, we have to select it partially. Press enter for the next step. Now it says specify base point. So again, we have to click on the start point. And then we can give the direction of our stretch. We want to increase or decrease the length. So if you wish to increase the length, you can give direction. We can also type. Let's say if I want to increase this 150 mm, I can type 150 mm, or I can click at the desired location. So this is how we can easily stretch our object. Now, for example, I have this rectangle. Now, if you notice, this rectangle has very sharp edges, and I want to curve these edges. Now, to curve these edges, the command what I can use is called as fillet. If I click here on the fillet command, it helps me to round the edges or round and fillets the edges of the object. I click. Now, if I select the object now, it will not work because we need to specify the radius for the curve we need. Now, in the command line, if you will notice that we have the option of radius. I click here on the radius to specify what radius I want to use to curve my object. For example, I'm using 15 mm here. Now it is asking me select first object. I click here and I click here. So you will notice that it has filled my edges. It has curved my edges. But as soon as I curve once, my command disappears. That means I have come out of the command automatically. If you wish to fillet multiple edges, when we take the fillet command, we specify the radius. We can use multiple. Now, when I use multiple, it stays inside the command till the time I press escape. So until I press escape, I'm still using the fillet command. Now, for example, if you have created something using a polyline, and now I want to curve all my possible edges together, I can again take the fillet command, and here I can use the option of polyline. I click here on polyline option and select my polyline. So if we select a polyline, it will curve all my possible edges with that radius what I just now specified. Okay. Now, one of the most useful commands what we use in AutoCAD is offset. What does offset do? Offset helps me to create a parallel line, a parallel shape of a polyline, or a concentric circle. For example, if I take the offset command, I click, it says specify offset distance. For example, I want to create this like a TV screen, so I need a border here. So I can again use the offset command. Now it says specify offset distance. For example, I want 20 mm. I select my object and I can use my mouse to create inside or outside. And I click on the desired side. Now, if you want To create again multiple offsets, we can select our object and use multiple. And we can click and create multiple offsets for our object. But if we want to change the distance, we can press escape, take the command again, and for example, now I change my distance, select my object, and do another offset. Okay. So this is how we can use some of the modifiers which are very useful in AutoCAD. I hope you like the video and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.